whether the stock goes down to 200 bucks or $175 or whatever.
Jeremy from Financial Education bought Tesla stock in December pretty much close to the bottom. Not exactly at the bottom, but that was very close. Seems like he bought it around $130, and I made a video about it that day. If you think that watching that video back in December would have been useful, make sure to like and subscribe. But now Jeremy says that there is some bad news for Tesla stock and that potentially it could drop down to 200, 175, and he even indirectly implied that it could go back to perhaps as low as it did back in December, so close to $100. And that's why he titled his video Tesla Stock Urgent Warning. So let's take a look at his urgent warning.
This is very bad news in the short term. It could affect Tesla's stock price in a pretty substantial way. I want to explain what's going on here. I think, honestly, we could get for the people out there that didn't get to take advantage of the deals we saw in Tesla stock in Q4 of 2022 at the beginning of this year, you might be getting a very interesting opportunity over this next 6 months. And, when you get these opportunities in Tesla stock, you got to take advantage of those opportunities, or they do end up passing you by over time. Ask anybody that's been looking to get in the stock over the past 5-10 years, and they're going to tell you exactly that, okay?
He says you might be getting a very interesting opportunity over the next 6 months. The way he talked about it makes me think that he's implying $100 or somewhere close to it, certainly under $200. I might be wrong with my interpretation. Maybe Jeremy had something else completely in mind, but that's, I think, what he means. I think at the same time, he also perfectly described a lot of Tesla bears when he said, ask anyone who was trying to get into Tesla stock earlier, and they will tell you that these opportunities don't last long. I think a lot of Tesla bears wanted to get into Tesla stock at one point, and they thought it would go a lot lower, and then eventually it didn't go low enough, or when it did, it scared them away by making them think that the stock would go even lower, and in many cases it actually did, and then they just didn't follow through with their original price target. For example, remember Chicken Genius? He said that Tesla stock is going to go down to 140, and it actually did. And then he said that Tesla stock is going even lower, perhaps to $60 or $80 or so, and I think I saw his tweet from before, stating he would go all in into Tesla stock again, I think under $70. And I actually just found the tweet. If it drops to $69.42, he said he will sell everything and go all in. But that was just a little bit more of a joke, but I think he was serious. I'm a bit sad that he's not making any more videos. They were very entertaining. I greatly enjoyed many of them. I also like to explore different points of view, so I actually pay a lot of attention to Tesla stock bears.
I am subscribed to a person on Patreon, Troy TSLA. It's like $5-10 a month to pay for his service. And this guy tracks Tesla projected deliveries in production numbers on a very high level, I would say. He's not perfect with his numbers, but he's pretty damn good, okay? And so I'm subscribed to him. Like I said, it's super cheap. And so I want to show you what he put out here today, which is very troubling for kind of Tesla overall, okay? Very, very troubling in the short term here.
The next point that Jeremy made was that on August 1st, when you looked at any Model 3 or Model Y in the US, the delivery date was estimated to be July to August. Now that has changed to August to September, but basically his point was that the backlog is very low in the US. Then he pulls up one of Troy's charts showing the order backlog, which is a little bit higher right now than where it was back in June. So that's good, but overall, of course, it is nowhere near as high as it was before. He then gives two core reasons for all of this. Here's the first one.
The Fed has kept raising rates, right? At the end of the day, this makes it much harder to get a car loan. So if you're talking about, and especially with Tesla starting to hit the sorts of delivery numbers, I mean, we're talking about Tesla's next objective now at this point in time is to start selling multi-million units per year. Multi-million units. That's Tesla's next growth vector. Now, when you're starting to hit some of these sorts of numbers, Tesla's starting to start hitting numbers here that, Ford and GM hit and many of the other big automakers, they're going to start projecting to hit there over the next few years. Well, when you're talking about that, you're not just selling to wealthy owners anymore. Now you're talking about you're selling to the middle class, and you're talking about even folks that are trying to make it into the middle class. You even need to have those folks start buying your vehicles, right? So now it's harder than ever to get an auto loan, or I shouldn't say ever, but certainly hardest it's been probably since the great financial crisis to actually get a loan. So if people are actually going to buy a new vehicle now at this point in time, a lot are being shot down. It's very different than things were 12 months ago, 18 months ago, and this is a substantial holdback.
Keep in mind, this is not just Teslas being more expensive. This is people not even being able to get a loan because they are just shot down when they are trying to get a loan. I personally know of one person who was going to buy a Model Y, but then looked at the financing and said, this is a bit too much. It seemed like there was some sort of difficulty with the banks as well, and eventually that person ended up buying a Model 3 instead of a Model Y. Now, there are also a lot of people that were looking at a Model 3 and then are like, I don't know if you can do that anymore, and then they just end up buying, let's say, a Toyota.
Now, the second part of that is, not only are people getting shot down for even getting a new vehicle, but rates are going up substantially. This was as of May. This is even much worse now. If you want to go buy a new $40,000, $50,000 Tesla right now, you are going to have to pay extremely high interest rates on buying that, right? Which, for the people that could get approved, a lot of them are saying, the hell with that right now. I'm not going to go get an auto loan right now that's I'm going to have to pay 8% on, 9% on, when just a couple years ago, I could go buy a new auto and I would have, a 2 or 3% interest rate on that, right? So a lot of people are just kind of almost like boycotting and buying a new car right now. And they're saying, I'll just wait. Unless I really have to get a brand new car, I'll just wait on it. And not everybody has $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 just laying around to go pay cash for a new Tesla, right? You're always going to have a finite amount of those buyers. Most people buy cars on, at the end of the day, they buy it on a big loan. It's just a question of, well, how big is the loan, which some of these loans are getting huge now at this point in time.
Before we bought our Model 3, we were offered a loan between 2 and 3%. I don't remember the exact interest rate, but it was definitely under 3%. Then, a little bit more than a year ago, I wanted to get a Model X, and everything was going towards that direction. Then the interest rates started going up and Tesla stock started dropping. So I was like, yeah, I think I should just buy more Tesla stock. So I did buy a lot more Tesla stock. And then the opportunity finally presented for me to get a Model X. I didn't get it because I just bought more Tesla stock. And now if I want to get a Model X and if I want to finance, I need to get a loan and the interest rate is going to be pretty high. And I'm not a fan of that. So I either need to pay cash for it, which I don't want to do because I would just prefer to buy more Tesla stock while Tesla stock is still relatively cheap, or I need to finance, which I definitely don't want to do.
Okay. Now, me personally with Tesla stock, what am I planning on here? Knowing that likely the next couple quarter numbers might not be very exciting, okay? And knowing that Wall Street likes to freak out over these delivery numbers, which could send short-term pressure potentially on Tesla stock here, okay? So personally, what I'm planning on doing is just holding through this mess, okay? And whether the stock goes down to $200 or $175 or whatever, if that even happens, okay? I'm fine holding through that. I don't want to create a taxable event here and then try to time back in it if the stock does drop or something like that. And remember, the narratives can shift very fast in regards to Tesla. Just, very shortly ago, a few weeks ago, things were obviously very bullish around Tesla, right? You had all the partnerships where everybody's trying to use their supercharger network. The deliveries numbers were insane. And so things were looking really, really bright. Now all of a sudden it's looking like, oh boy. And that's why you're starting to see this, the stock price weaken and weaken here recently, right?
I know many of you don't like that Tesla stock is so volatile, but I like it. Here's why. If Tesla stock was just to go up all the time perfectly smoothly, then I wouldn't get these buying opportunities where I can load up on a lot more cheap shares. When there's a huge dip, I find ways to come up with some extra cash. I buy Tesla stock regularly pretty much every single month, but when Tesla stock dropped back in December, I did come up with some extra money. It also motivates me to work quite a bit harder during these times.
The narrative could shift easily in a few months from now. One is Cybertruck, okay? Cybertruck's coming. I don't know if everybody knew this or not, okay? But Cybertruck's coming. And so it's a short-term holdback on profitability because whenever they ramp a new vehicle, it's usually not very profitable from the first couple quarters. But At the end of the day, that's going to start boosting up revenues in a substantial way in 2024, and it's going to add a new element of excitement around the company and just kind of like breath of fresh air to Tesla because, let's be honest, Tesla hasn't had a new product in the market in quite some time.
For a moment, let's just say that indeed there is a lot of downward pressure on Tesla stock, and let's say Tesla stock is even likely to go down from here. I think personally, it is really quite dangerous to not own Tesla stock when Tesla stock is rolling out a new product. Tesla launched the Model Y in 2020. They started production sometime in January, and the stock just absolutely exploded multiple times, going up higher and higher. So I tell myself that it is dangerous to not own Tesla stock during a time when a new product is being rolled out, especially when that product has very low expectations from Wall Street, but it has 2 million reservations pretty much, so for some sort of thing going on where what is happening with reservations is not reflecting in what Wall Street thinks about the product. Wall Street thinks that maybe people will just start canceling their reservations. Maybe the Cybertruck is going to be too expensive. There are a lot of what ifs, but if Tesla successfully launches the Cybertruck, you can count on Wall Street to quickly turn around and change its opinion about the Cybertruck. Although we might need to wait until the money actually starts showing up in the Tesla's profit line.
Tesla's trading at a 54 forward P. That's about 3x roughly what the market's trading at, okay, based upon 2024 numbers. And so this sounds crazy. It sounds very expensive. 3x, oh my gosh, 3x the market, oh, that's crazy. Well, Tesla's going to be likely growing. And once again, this is analyst numbers. They might do better than this, okay? But Tesla's going to be growing at a minimum of 5x, if not 7 to 10x, the revenue growth rates and EPS growth rates that the average stock out there trades at, okay? And so ultimately, Tesla is not nearly as richly valued as it looks on the surface level when you say, oh my gosh, it's at a 24 times. Shouldn't it be at like 16, 18? No, because they're going to grow massively more over the next many years than obviously an average company out there.
Personally, when I invest money into something long term, I assume that I will not see that money for 10 years. And if you are willing to hold Tesla stock for that long, then I think today is still a wonderful buying opportunity. But in the short term, anything could happen. Tesla stock could drop 50% or maybe even higher, especially if you do have somehow a very bad recession. But with the Cybertruck coming out, I think there's a lot of potential upside here. It will also be interesting to see how the refresh Model 3 does. And until Full Self-Driving is sold, I certainly don't want to be out of the stock. And YouTube says you should watch this video next, but if you haven't finished watching this Elon Musk interview, watch this one first. My name is Matt Posius. Like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.